Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of everything you might have missed in the Moon Knight trailer, featuring Oscar Isaac as Marvel's latest superhero, coming to Disney Plus and showing us how dark the dark side of the moon can get. I was changing my accent in the middle of the sentence there. Didn't really work out, but I'm plowing through this because unlike most MCU titles I break down, there actually are hidden demons in this footage. So I'm gonna go through it frame by frame for all the terrifying details you might have missed. Thanks to Truebill for sponsoring today's video. More on them in a little bit. Let's get started.
I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
We open on Oscar Isaac as Marc Spector. In the comics, the son of a rabbi who trains as a boxer and becomes a badass CIA agent, a US Marine, and a mercenary who gets possessed by the Egyptian moon deity Khonshu, who gives Marc powers associated with the cycle of the moon. And then as a moonlighting vigilante, he takes on alternate identities, that of wealthy elite Stephen Grant and taxi driver Jake Lockley. But then in more recent comics, his condition is framed as a form of dissociative identity disorder, making Marc and the reader question how much of his superpowers are actually in his mind. And that is a version of the character explored in this series, because here, Marc is in a museum exhibit of ancient Egyptian artifacts. On the right side of the display case behind him, there's an artifact depicting three figures, which look like the Egyptian sun god Ra, the falcon head, god of fertility in the afterlife, Osiris, that's the pharaoh head, and his son Anubis, that's the canine head, guardian of the afterlife. And Osiris is a character associated with the practice of mummification, and it looks like Ra and Anubis may be doing that to him here. On the far left, there's a darker statue showing a figure with a bull or maybe a bovine head, could be Set or Hepu. But on the right, there's a golden idol depicting a pharaoh, and in the foreground of all this is a crocodile, perhaps a display version of the ones found in the Nile River. You can actually see it better in the reflection of that display case behind him, but weird things begin going on when you focus on those reflections, because first off, beneath that crocodile in the reflection appears to be mummified remains on the floor. Why would a mummy be on the floor? You're just gonna leave it there, not even use a coaster? Unless this mummy was moved here because its remains were disturbed. And as Marc exits frame right, his two reflections do not follow him. Their heads actually turn even somewhat independently of each other. Just a way of reflecting Marc's splintered identities. And as he exits, a bulky shadow that was once behind where he was standing in the reflection vanishes as he crosses it to leave frame. So what was standing behind him there? Folks, it looks like Marc's exposure to and perhaps possession by the Egyptian moon deity of Khonshu must have happened when he was meddling with these artifacts, maybe trying to steal one that left him cursed, haunting him wherever he goes now. Then Marc observes himself in a mirror and there's a big lump on his cheek, perhaps from some vigilante brawl when one of his other identities was in control. This guy's gonna find weird bruises and scars all over his body that he doesn't have a story for. And then from the end of a long dark room, elevator doors close on Marc, but this time he's wearing some neater clothes, a black turtleneck. This as we hear Oscar Isaac speaking in a softer pitch British accent. I can't tell the difference between my waking life and my dreams. And Marc braces his hands against a bus, wearing these smooth white gloves, which when you compare with his suited white fighting gloves later in the reel, this must be part of a different getup entirely. Perhaps the cleaner white fancy suit that he toggles into in the comics. Then the creepiest shot in the trailer, Marc lies in anguish in front of the statue. Looks like he's hiding, stifling his screams. Hiding from what though? Well, if you look closely in the shadows behind him, some bulky, shadowy figure stirs. You can even see that its arm is creepily thin and two glowing eye holes peering out at us. Oh God. This could be Khonshu creeping up on Marc here, trying to take hold of his body and possess him. Like in WandaVision, Moon Knight seems to be steering hard into supernatural horror, specifically the psychological horror, trapping protagonists in hells that have them constantly questioning their realities. Then Marc is in a storage corridor looking suspicious, like someone's sneaking around trying to steal an artifact, as opposed to the confident badass Marc begins as in the comics. The lights flash, all creepy like, because Damon's on the loose. Look, I'm happy to help you with all this stuff, but the real question is, do you need someone to grab the steering wheel of your financial situation and keep you from swerving all over the road like you're playing a racing video game for the first time and you don't understand the controls? Well, Truebill, take the wheel! Truebill is the all-in-one personal finance app that empowers you to take back control of your financial life, helping you to save save more and spend less. From a single dashboard, Truebill can track all of your subscriptions in one place, cancel unwanted ones for you, negotiate bills on your behalf, monitor your credit score, and automate your savings. I really like how easy Truebill makes it to set budgets and monitor your spending. You can visualize how much you spend on different categories and then set up a smart savings account so you can finally start building up a nest egg. Truebill uses the same security protocol that banks use to ensure your personal information is fully encrypted. And Truebill does not store your online banking credentials or sell your information to anyone. Get started with Truebill today by heading to truebill.com/rockstars or clicking the link in the video description. That's truebill.com/rockstars. Moving on.
The voice in your head. It devours you.
Now here, Oscar Isaac's voice shifts into a lower, raspier register, as if he's having a conversation with his alternate self. I'm so excited to see Oscar Isaac play all these different incarnations of his identities. I'm wondering if the English accent could be his Stephen Grant persona, or even since it was a little more Cockney? Brits, am I getting the right one? Or is it Yorkshire? I regret not knowing for sure. Either way, it sounds a bit more rough around the edges, making me think this could be a London cabbie Jake Lockley, whereas this lower register seems to be the voice of the Moon Knight vigilante. As the camera rounds the corner, there's a poster for ancient Egypt showing some artifact. Perhaps this is how Mark learned that artifact was in the museum to begin with. And then we enter the bathroom, completely wrecked, sinks, mirrors smashed, as this caped Moon Knight beats the hell out of someone. Love the lighting here. The only visible light source in frame is this dangling fluorescent bulb, smartly positioned right beside Moon Knight so that only he is illuminated, the paleness of his gray suit glowing like the moon in the night sky. Now we cannot see who he is beating up, but as he stands, his cape straightens and shows, well, looks like no one on the floor on the other side of him. So here's my hot take. Moon Knight is not beating up another person, but rather is beating the hell out of himself, Fight Club style, as his vigilante persona had to beat down one of his other personas to take the wheel. This could be why the mirrors in particular were smashed. This all began with Mark seeing his own reflection. More amazing lunar imagery as Mark runs across a bridge with the bright crescent moon reflecting on the water. I'm gonna guess this is the Thames, because as he leaps across the buildings in the other shot, crossing the moon like E.T., those buildings and tavern in the lower left, that's unmistakably London architecture. Also, that red bus he pushed, probably a classic London double-decker. So rather than mostly being set in New York like in the comics, Moon Knight here might go down in the city of London, which would be interesting considering the timing of Eternals with Cersei and Dane Whitman working at the Museum of Natural History in London, which would be one of the museums along with the British Museum that Marc Spector would probably be in here. Now, spoiler warning for the Eternals post-credit scene, but this film ends with Dane tracking down his ancestral sword, the Ebony Blade, from the property of his uncle Nathan Garrett, who was the previous Black Knight. As the voice of Mahershala Ali, Blade calls out to him. Now, we have speculated that these two could end up on a supernatural fighting force like the Midnight Suns, with warriors like Moon Knight, as well as potentially Ghost Rider someday if Marvel ever lets Mephisto out of the cage. So now with Marc Spector as this horror figure in the same city, snooping around the same kind of museums Dane would be in, dealing with similar cursed artifacts and hearing voices, guys, it's only a matter of time before these knights cross paths. Now, other quick shots later show Moon Knight in his official suit, but not his full form, just his lower half. And then Mark coming back into consciousness after his alter ego beat up a ton of people, his fist bloodied up, a mother covering her girl's eyes. I'm just so excited to see this series suddenly shift tone like this. The way WandaVision went in and out of stylistic visual filters, almost like what it would be if we were to wake up from darkness with Bruce Banner, returning to his human form, confused as everyone around him ran away screaming. What a nightmare, and what an awesome nightmare this show is gonna be. So Moon Knight's gonna be 6 episodes on Disney Plus, hopefully sometime early 2022, with Ethan Hawke playing an unknown role that he described as a David Koresh type figure. Also, Gaspar Ulliel playing Anton Mogart, aka the villain Midnight Man. To support this channel, check out one of our great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis and breakdowns of everything you love from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thank you for watching. Bye.